Being an entrepreneur is like sitting in a chair, pushing off the front legs so you're on the back of the legs, and that feeling as you're just tipping past the point of no return. But before you hit the floor, that feeling forever.
Cristiano,
CEO of Bold Worldwide, top experts in the world of marketing.
Here to discuss is Cristiano.
Is 100 million real?
Yeah, it's absolutely real. I have not been a great CEO, but it's time for me to step up.
I'm down 50% on my staff.
It could be enough to put us out of business.
Nobody's grinding like you are.
Is there anything you worry about?
I'm tied to making this work.
Crazy story.
This is a real growing bold.
It's a lot of hours right now. It's all hands on deck. There's a lot of stuff that needs to get done. I was here till 2 in the morning the other day. We're down by like 50% of the original staff. We started making some changes, bringing some people in, and then there was kind of a second round. I said it was going to be hard. I said we were going to push things and really challenge people. And then I think maybe some people underestimated the level of which that new standard was. And there's nothing wrong with that. As you grow, you get to a point of which the old model doesn't work anymore, and so you start to plateau, and either you stay at that plateau or you make a massive change like we did and you get to the next level. And that's what it took. It wasn't easy, but we had to do it. Is there a goal as far as a timeline?
Yesterday.
Well, what the hell am I jumping onto now?
Relatively empty.
We know that they're spending on TV and they know it's not working. So there's huge opportunity to capitalize there.
You nailed it.
This industry is going to implode. We've got the new model, and I think we can be part of that swing. I really do.
Welcome to another episode of Growing Bold Podcast Edition. Today, I have somebody really incredible sitting in the office across from me, Geoff Cooper, President and CEO of Niyama Sol. Geoffrey, thanks for stopping in, man.
Brian, thanks for having me. It's good to be in New York.
You were telling me that you guys have more than doubled the company every single year since its existence. And so you're really in this hockey stick growth period right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's awesome.
But there's so many companies and brands that are jumping and trying to do what you are doing now, and they just can't get traction. What's the difference?
Grit. You can't just go out and throw a ton of money at something and hope it works. If I see something that's not working, I'm out. I don't have time. You gotta pivot. And if you see something that's working, you might even pivot into something that could work better.
Right.
And you just keep changing all the time, and you change fast. And I think that's scary for some people. If you're not doing new things all the time, you're not growing. That's my feeling.
I agree with you. I mean, I was actually speaking somewhere the other day, and that was one of my slides. It said changes growth.
The old model of marketing was traditional media consumption, TV, radio, newspaper. And while that stuff is still around, the new model is social and mobile consumption. The new model is relationship-centric. We're here talking about change. Change happens whether we want it to or not. Without change, there's no growth. Change is growth. You cannot grow by doing the same thing. Growth is pushing confidently forward in the face of uncertainty. It's not necessarily always knowing, but it's always having the confidence to continue to move forward. And I know that every single person here at some point has faced that uncertainty, whether in your career, your personal life, fitness. You just don't know, but you know you have to get to the other side. And what's the difference between the people that are stuck there and you who continue to move forward and grow? It's pushing forward. That's all it is. The pursuit of change is what creates growth.
I wasn't always working hard. Sometimes I was just working enough. There was a point at which I had to get a job, and it was the most humbling, worst 9 months of my life, I believe. My wife would get the kids, and they'd go and drop me off at work in the morning, because we had one-car family. On my lunch break, I would do business. Then I'd come home and I'd run my business. And Then I'd go back to a job that I hated, and I'd do the same thing day in, day out, every day while I was growing my business until I didn't have to deal with it anymore.
Right.
Funny thing, I left on a Friday afternoon in February, and then 2 days later, my wife comes in and she's crying. She's pregnant. It's our third kid coming.
Wow.
So it's that catalyst right there that said, you cannot f this up. Like, you cannot do this. I quit my job that I used to help myself grow and to get out of the doldrums. And now I've got this whole other child. I've got another baby coming. So that was the catalyst for me to say, you know what, I need to work harder. It's time for me to work harder.
Wow. Man, thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I knew we had a lot in common, but I didn't realize to what extent. I did the exact same thing. As I finally kind of got out to the other end and realized I have to make a change. Yeah, I got a job too. And so I'd go into the office at 6 a.m. I'd work till about 9. I'd have my guy Eddie come in. I'd tell him where I left off. I'd go work somewhere else. No one knew I was doing this on either side. I'd work there. Yeah, I'd be making business calls on lunch. Then I'd go back. He'd go, here's where everything left off. I'd work until I'd pass out, and I did that for like 14 months until I came out on the other side. It's like, you just have to do whatever it takes. It sounds like that's exactly what you did.
I learned more from failure than I ever will from success. I know my pain threshold. And having a pain threshold is very important when you're growing a company, because you know what you can really handle. And you know you can actually handle more than that. If you can't puke because you're so upset and you don't know how you're going to make rent, and then get up and do it again the next day, then you don't want to get in the game. You know, my wife she does remind me. If I've had a bad streak at work and I'm like, I can't do this. And she always says, you remember when you were in the fetal position on our bed and you were crying and you were shaking and you were basically sick, and that's when you couldn't make it, and this is what you're telling me right now? So you're full of go to work. That's what she tells me. If you can go through growing, that's
right.
Growing's not easy, but
puts the
failing
problems
is pretty hard.
Yeah, it is. It puts today's problems in perspective. Yeah. As long as you remind yourself of that.
You can't forget.
No.
Never forget about where you come from, and you do yourself and you do other people a disservice if you don't tell them that this is what it's really like. You can have the private jet, but if you didn't tell somebody everything it took all the way along to get to it, then it seems untouchable. And a lot of people quit before they should. Yeah. Or they don't even get out of, if you don't even get out of bed and put your shoes on and go hustle, then you're doing yourself a disservice.
It's already over.
Yeah. So please give a warm welcome to Brian Cristiano. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Everybody raise your right hand. All right. Raise it as high as you can go. As high as you can go. Raise it 1 more inch. Almost every single one of you, your hand went a little bit higher. Why? We're waiting for permission. Your hand could go that extra inch, but it didn't happen until I gave you permission to do it. Well, we can't change this. It is that department. This is this leadership decision. It is management. It's this and this. Because no one's giving you permission to just go and change it and not think that way. No one's going to give permission. We just have to take it. Once you understand that it's just up to us as individuals. It doesn't matter that, hey, maybe the organization isn't up for it, but if you start making those changes, you start breaking down those barriers, guess what happens? Everyone else starts to see the results, and what happens, and it feels better. You're waiting for a change to happen, it's too late. It already has, you just didn't participate. It's always happening. You're either involved in helping make the change or you're not. That's the thing that holds people back. They're sitting there doing the same thing they've done for 15 years, wondering why they haven't been given the lucky break, because they're still operating in that box. They haven't asked the question, am I in a box?